This channel is supported by TrueFire. TrueFire is an online library of lessons from some of my favourite players. There's thousands of lessons on there. You can use the promo code JNC40 to get 40% off of any of their courses. So unfortunately this keeps happening. So the Boss Waza DS1 came out a few weeks, maybe months ago, and I didn't have one at the time, and I was kind of thinking, I think I know what a Boss DS1 sounds like, so I wasn't like super pressing trying to get one, but Boss kindly sent me one, and I decided to do a video on it because I wanted to do a video on one. I did one on the DS1 a little while back, and the thing that keeps happening with Boss pedals is that I'm constantly blown away by, given their reputation, given their place within the pedal business, and given how, I don't know, just ubiquitous Boss are. You know, you think that you know what these things are going to sound like, and that you think, right, there probably are better options out here for certain things, but I just don't think that there necessarily is an argument for that. Having tried a few of these, I recently had the same kind of realization with an SD1 and a blues driver, and I think if I, you know, had to choose 3 Boss pedals that might be able to do any distortion drive job that I wanted, I think it wouldn't be that difficult. And even something like this, the DS1, if you paired this with an SD1, or even just 2 DS1s, I think you could do an incredible amount of work with them. And, you know, people like Mike Stern, people like Gary Moore, people like Steve Vai, people like Prince have all used the DS1, and all of them are better guitar players than me. So hopefully, I don't know, let me know your thoughts. Do you still feel like Boss, I feel like this is like the thing that I hear people say, like, I think I can get a better pedal than that, and I'm not sure whether there really is one. Like, they represent such incredible value, Boss pedals, and they're sort of stand the test of time. And, you know, they were there at the very start of some of this stuff, you know, like the first mass-produced pedals along with Ibanez. There are other pedal options, but I don't think they're necessarily better. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I really have turned around my idea on, you know, what these Boss pedals are capable of. Just because you plug them in, you think, well, that's as good as a drive pedal as I've heard all year. And, you know, these are relatively inexpensive compared to some boutique drive pedals, which oftentimes the boutique drive pedals are kind of a take on existing circuits anyway. So obviously there are a million different players that have made sensible and respectable use of the DS1. I am not one of those. However, I did do a video a little while back kind of looking at the DS1 and reading through the manual and looking at what some of the suggested kind of uses were, and I found it to be more versatile than I think. So here's my clean tone. And I expect if we have everything set where it is right now, it's going to sound fairly harsh. Which surprisingly it doesn't. So Okay, that sounds pretty much amazing wherever you set it. I think that's got more gain all the way off than the old DS1 had though, right? So that's below unity gain and it's still doing quite a lot of clipping. But what we do have is something which is potentially more in that kind of transparent EQ-wise point than something like a Tube Screamer. It's kind of got that glassiness. If we turn the tone down, it sounds to me like that's sort of actively increasing bass or treble, right? So in the middle we kind of got our most kind of natural neutral sound, and then as you go to the left it seems you're literally boosting. And then literally boosting treble. So if we keep that in the middle, and quite responsive to volume. Okay, and so that's the least gain. If we take this to halfway, I'm kind of going into a Lone Star clean, sort of Andy Timmons inspired. So if you really hit it, it's still pretty clean, and then so I don't know if they've done some refinements on this. The main point of difference would be that this is made in Japan, and then the other difference is we've got this custom mode, which I think is supposed to bring out the mids. And at lower gain levels, I imagine this might be even more. Definitely then giving you a bit of a mid-push. So there's really quite a range of tones, and every time that I pick up a Boss pedal, I'm given sort of a new confidence that these are truly underrated pedals. That you hear about someone like Prince, who used a string of Boss pedals as part of his production workflow. I mean, you know, if you can't get good tones from Boss pedals, then I don't necessarily think you're more likely to get better tones from any other pedals. To me, it seems like these things are so much more capable than we give them credit for. So yeah, I think that, for me, I've not heard a better distortion pedal. There's the Rat, which is another fairly famous distortion. For me, I think that has a wider range of usable tones, particularly now we've got that C, and I don't know, I wasn't expecting necessarily to like that as much as that, honestly, because I've played a DS1 before, and while I think they're maybe somewhat misunderstood, by myself included, I think it was still, you had to kind of make adjustments on the tone to get some of these softer. Like, you could for sure, with kind of two DS1 pedals, set up, you know, like a low gain kind of boost sound. And you could have another one for your higher gain kind of chunk. And if you were using that S switch as well, you've got, you know, reasonably very distinct tones, and it's doing a great job in all ranges, in my opinion. Have you tried one of the DS1Ws? Have you got the same kind of thoughts about the normal DS1? I feel like this, for me, has surprised me a bit more than the normal DS1 did, which I think the tone knob does have some difficulty, you know, dialing that in sometimes. This, to me, just seems to sound good pretty much with everything at 12, which I'm not sure that the older one did so much. And then that switch here really does kind of transform it into another set of really cool sounds. I'm very impressed, so thanks to Boss for sending that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. That's the DS1Waza. Funky.